Are the girls riding the dance home today?
Yeah.
I think we're only starting to figure out all the benefits to the community of having a program like this. Addison County consistently has one of the lowest teen pregnancy rates in Vermont. Vermont already has the lowest teen pregnancy rate in the country. And so when the state started seeing these statistics and turning to Addison County and saying, you know, what's different here? Why are you guys doing so much better than the rest of the state? Universally, people pointed to the Parent-Child Center.
Thanks, Millie. Bye, Parent-Child Center.
This place is about not only teaching good parenting and good interpersonal skills, it's also about giving these young people the chance to feel what it feels like to be parented well. We've purposely tried to set this place up as a family, as a community, set the walls out there as far as they can possibly be, and respect each individual's right to sort of move around in between. So you have to be really flexible. So that's the first piece. The second piece is about reinforcing and giving people lots of opportunities to experience success. So structuring the day, just like you would with a little kid, the ideal is to structure the day so that a young child has lots of chances to experience success and you have very little need to say no.
Here we go. Put it in.
Good job.
Look at the fishies.
Gentle, gentle, nice.
To me, the crux of what this place is about is built on relationships. You know, that the relationships I have with the people I work with, participants, staff, you know, kids in childcare, families out in the community, whoever. That's where I start always, is with, you know, how I connect with people. That's what's important to me, and that's what is a real core value of the center.
We are here to help the community, and the community helps define our mission. The community, I mean, we were created by a bunch of people from Addison County who just decided this thing needs to exist. And we have members on our board of directors. The real bosses here are just people from the community who care and take time out of their lives to help run the show. And they're not paid, they're volunteers. But they care.
So the way it works in very practical terms, people are with us, everyone's with us 4 days a week, and there's an optional 5th day a week, Friday, that's specifically for people who are working on their high school diplomas. Mm-hmm. And then within that time frame, there are some things that are set for everybody, actually just a couple of things that are set for everybody, and then this broad framework that each person fills in for themselves. Every piece here came directly out of a group of parents saying, this is what I need and want. We teach driver's ed because parents said, if you really want to help me, I need my driver's license. The alternative ed program came because parents kept saying to us, if you really want to help us, we want our diplomas, but we'll probably never go back to high school. That wasn't a good experience for us.
I wanted to get my high school diploma, and they really helped me, you know, with transportation to school, and I got credits from being here, and
I can go for my GED and still build up high school credits if I want to switch back over to my high school diploma.
I was gonna drop out, and then I had met Donna, and she's like, don't drop out. That's, you know, it's the worst thing you could do. You'll never go back. And so she convinced me that I could do it.
I had taken 3 tests, and I needed 2 more to actually finish it. If you, like with the GED, if you pass a test, they'll give you a bonus. They'll give you money.
It's not like school. It's not like you're sitting down and they're making you learn. You're making your own choices to learn by yourself.
How much are you going to spend altogether doing it this way? Okay.
I think they're getting excited again about learning. I think a lot of the people who come here to the program were disenfranchised from the formal education program long ago. I think some of them were sort of walked into kindergarten ready to fail.
I'd kind of just given up on the school system in general. But she explained the whole program to me. It sounded like they would work around my schedule, so it would make it easier for me.
I think in school you get graded on a paper and F, you know, that's a kick in the butt. Here it's just different. I mean, they don't give you an F. They just look over your paper and they're like, you know, whatever it is, 2 + 2 isn't 3. Let's figure it out.
I see all the ways that these guys get disrespected, and not to sound critical, but all the ways in which the formal system of helpers sort of reinforces some of the negative messages that these guys got as kids.
I had moved out of my home when I was 15, and I was homeless for a little while, and I couldn't go to school because I lived in the place that I could stay was for Jens, but my parents lived in Ripton.
I think that when life is hard, it's really easy to have a sort of fatalistic view of like, this sucks, or it won't work, or you know, and I think we've all had time and places in our lives where that's happened, and I think for some people that's been their life experience more so than the opposite.
I ended up getting pregnant at 14, and I had my son when I was 15, so.
I came to the center last year. My kids actually got taken. They were put in SRS custody.
I think one of the things that guys deal with a lot around their kids is that they're not expected, nor are the conditions created in their cultural milieu to be a parent. So that Art grew up and lived, and still to a large extent lives in an environment that doesn't expect or value males as fathers.
We feel like it doesn't work is when dads are essentially seen as, you know, being a dad means that you got somebody pregnant, you know, and this kid comes out and you're not very involved for quite a while. It doesn't kind of lend itself to young men really thinking about, am I ready? Is this a good time? You know, what precautions might I need to take?
You know, I mean, when I first came in here, I get 2 kids. I knew absolutely nothing. You know, I didn't know what to do with them.
So here was Art, who was really was concerned about his kids' welfare. His kids were really living in a terrible situation with his ex-partner, and although he made lots of noise about wanting to make changes for them, he didn't really do anything to make that happen until he started working with Michael Fisher. And I think together they figured out some stuff to do, and I think Michael gave Art a sense of confidence that he could do something about it.
You know, Mike Fisher, who I said before, he's my outreach worker. He goes to we have monthly review meetings at SRS, and he goes to all those with me, and it's easier having. I don't think I would have come this far. In the beginning, when this all first started, when SRS came into my life, I opened my mouth way too quick, and I said things to people that I really shouldn't have, and you know, with Mike there, he can usually see when I'm about ready to say something. He's just like, calm, just don't say it right now. So that helped me out a lot.
One of the things that is unusual about the center is we have a lot of men on staff. You know, I think often in social service agencies they're predominantly women staff, and we've always had a real focus because we wanted this to be a place where young men felt like they were welcome as well.
And then finally, we got a grant in 1987 or 89 to specifically design programs to work with young fathers. And at that point, we created this business, Dad's Detailing, as a hook to bring dads into the program.
We think having this on the job piece is really critical for a bunch of reasons. Not only does it give that hands-on learning about the soft skills that you need to be successful as an employee, it also sets up a sense of community. Same thing, we feed about 100 people a day here, and we have one person who oversees the food service program, but the people who help plan and cook and serve and clean up after the meals are participants in the program. They're participants who answer the phone and do basic clerical tasks. From our standpoint as an organization, they help run the place so that we have an infant toddler child care for 30 children. We have enough staff that we meet the letter of the law as far as adult-child ratios, but we have all these additional people who are in childcare helping to cuddle babies and guide toddlers, so the children in our care are getting much more grown-up attention than the typical childcare.
Baby! Oh, can I go down there with the baby?
It's a real learning experience for these participants. Many, if not all of these guys, have not had the opportunity to have good work pre-vocational skills, sort of work readiness skills modeled to them. They often came from families where that wasn't part of what they saw, and unfortunately that's not something that they teach you in school pretty much.
They got me into Dad's detailing, which is detailing cars, just cleaning, the cars and stuff.
Vacuum it, shampoo the carpets, seats, armor all the inside. And then we do all the detailing on the outside.
The most obvious thing we do is work on cars, detailing cars, waxing and cleaning interiors. But in many ways, that's just the most obvious thing we do. We're doing many layers of things that aren't as concrete as cleaning cars.
Things like, how do you get along with co-workers? How do you show up at the same place every day and be there for 6 straight hours? How do you take supervision without being angry about it? How do you express yourself when you're not happy with the way things are going in a way that won't get you fired?
A lot of the folks that I've worked with here at Dad's have had experiences where their voices have sort of been squelched, and they may have had some really brilliant ideas, but they didn't try to pursue them because they weren't given the space to do that. Last year, Art and another participant were interested in working at Dad's alone during the summer, and so we actually did that for about a month. Art and another participant ran the show here.
I use Dad's as a reference all the time, and Steve gives me a good reference, and it's just one more good thing. So when you want to go out and look for a job, you might not have very many good references. That's just one good one.
So everybody's got an on-the-job piece. Everybody's got an academic piece. We define academics very loosely. That can be going to an art class, taking a crafts class, working out at the gym, or it can be really concrete academics. Everybody's got a counseling piece. That can be individual, that can be group, it can be offered here, it can be at a private therapist, it can be at the local community mental health agency. People can choose how they get that piece, but everybody's got a counseling piece. And then there's also once a week a homeroom, which is when everybody in the program meets with Donna, the other co-director, and me, and we talk about what's going on.
The difference is because on Primary Care Plus, you have to have a primary physician, so your number one doctor, and that doctor has to say it's okay for you to see another doctor, which they can do easily, and it's a doctor to doctor.
And I think this is a place where we speak from our hearts and our guts, not only from our heads, and that's where we work, and I think that's where the real stuff happens. I think that's where my relationship with participants grows, and that I care, I care what happens when they walk out, when they come back in and tell me a story, and, if it's silly or if it's really deep or if it's tragic, it matters to me. So, because I have a relationship with a person, it's not like a client, it's a person who's in my life.
I passed my GED test, one of them. Yeah. 4 of them.
So now 4, so you have 1 to go?
Yep.
That's great. That's a highlight.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have a highlight? Do we go around generally?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta think of what she is now. Help me out.
Outreach worker?
Yes, outreach worker, and she might be helping me get my permit.
Nice.
So I'm kind of happy about that.
Yeah.
If you respect people and listen to people clearly and are kind to them and have high expectations of them, that's what you get. That if you expect the worst, that's what you'll get.
So actually, I don't think, if I hadn't come to the center, I don't think I would have gotten my GED because I just never retook those tests.
No matter, like, if I started to feel like it's just taking forever, it's never going to stop, I'm always going to be here doing this and I'll never get to my goal, she was like, you're almost there, Just a few more months and And then it got to be like just a couple more weeks and then just like, this is the last day. And then I did it and I was, you have to come to my graduation. You have to see me. So, and she just kept reminding me that it was gonna pay off in the end and I would get what I wanted.
It's so intense that you see people change right before your eyes. And over the course of 6 months, you see people be more confident and more positive in their parenting and communicating better with each other. So it's really reinforcing, one of those instant gratification people. So in human services, to see that kind of progress that quickly is pretty fun.
We see sort of the choices being made around, where am I going to live? Who am I going to live with? What kind of things are going to be healthy for my child? Sort of thinking of the big picture. Who am I going to partner with? Those kinds. What kind of job am I going to take because of the hours, or how are they going to affect my whole family? I think those are the kind of choices that I see regularly being made. Am I going to smoke or try to quit smoking cigarettes? Those are the kind of decisions that are made all the time that I think are promoted here.
Okay, ready? I have some smoke out information I just wanted to read. Ready?
Let us know how bad it is.
Yep. Here, we'll start with who is impacted by tobacco? Let's see. Adolescents. Every day, more than 3,000 adolescents in the United States smoke their first cigarette. Wow. Every day. 1/3 of these new smokers will eventually die of tobacco-related diseases, and 90% of new smokers are children and teens.
I hate when they start. They said like stress if you're a hyper tense person. That's why I wonder why I'm not doing it.
Did you ever?
Yeah, but I didn't want my son to breathe it and stuff because secondhand smoke is worse than. Yeah, because air infections too.
Yeah. Okay. Pregnant women and mothers. Tobacco has a damaging effect on women's reproductive health. Smoking is associated with complications of pregnancy, early menopause, and reduced fertility. An estimated 8
fertility?
I know. Come on. Why did I know you guys would argue with this one? Okay.
So homeroom's critical. Then once a week there's something called workshop that everybody participates in. And that changes week to week. And it's roughly about 1/3 of the time there are topics that are of interest to adults, birth control or balancing a checkbook or choosing a career. About 1/3 of the time they're related to parenting. They're reading to your kids or protecting your children from sex abuse or infant toddler CPR, and the topics get chosen by the group, the stuff that they're interested in. And then about 1/3 of the time it's just fun things. One of the things that we've come to understand as adolescence is a series of tasks that people need to complete in order to move on with their lives. And just because you have a kid, that doesn't mean you've stopped being an adolescent.
Is there any
These are young people, adolescents, who in many ways are expected to behave as adults, but they're not. They're 14-year-old, 15-year-old kids, and I hope that my daughters don't feel like they have to actually be adults when they're 15, and I wouldn't want to ask that of these kids either.
Where's your new one? Right here. Oh yeah, this is. I've been more into painting, but I want to try clay more. So when I was younger, I loved it a lot.
Yeah.
So I like to get my hands all messy.
Yeah.
We have a couple different art classes and pottery classes, and I think the conversations that happen around those tables while people are painting and are some of the best conversations I've ever had in my life, you know, just about every subject you can imagine. That's the other thing is no fear around topics. You know, there aren't any topics that are taboo.
I really look forward to art class. Art class, it's not really a class, we just go and make art. It's just very stress relieving. You know, you get to pound on the clay or throw some paint or whatever.
You can just totally be yourself, and you don't have to think about other things. You can just be so involved in your art, and that's all you have to think about.
The center does phenomenal work with teenagers, and I mean, I still feel like I'm a rookie here. I've been here since '96, so it's 4-5 years now, and you know, the people who've been here for 20 years or 10, 12 years, they have such a huge wealth of experiences and skills and information.
You sort of have to throw out any ideas you have of administration. Essentially, any ideas you've ever had working for any agency about rules and caseloads and it just doesn't, in quotes, it doesn't exist. It really doesn't exist.
There's no hierarchy involved. We don't have middle management. From a staffing standpoint, people are paid pretty much the same amount. Each job here is viewed as equally important, just somewhat different. So if someone has more administrative responsibilities, that's seen as a different set of things to contribute to the whole way the center operates, but not any more or less important than the person who does childcare or who drives the van or who oversees the food service program or who does anything else around this place. It all works together like a family.
You know, when you walk in here and people are eating meals together and, you know, there are babies and, you know, in people's arms and it's like, hey, do you need some help? And people help each other out. And I've never heard anybody ever say, of course we don't have job descriptions, but sort of say, you know, that's not my job description.
I get here about 7:30 in the morning and I start the van up and drive to Virgins and pick up children. And at about 9 o'clock I arrive here and I play in childcare from 9 to 3. Everybody sort of has a bunch of hats that they wear.
Parent, educator, teacher, and I drive van also.
The idea of being able to jump into childcare for an hour and then work in the kitchen for half an hour and go do some home visits, and I mean, that works well with who I am, with my style.
A lot of the participants don't know who I am, but they know I work up in the office a lot, and they also see me maybe go down at nap time and the big kids and lie down, I mean, do lunches and lie down with kids at nap time, and sometimes I'm doing dishes, and they know that I'm just, you know, another part of the center, and everybody is like that.
The center is energized and receives its power from its sense of community, I think. It really does come from everyone. And in the staff meetings that we have, where we're all in one room, in a circle, just relaxed and together as a group without a real sense of distinction amongst the whole group.
Anyway, I generally help out in the big kids room at around 11:45, so I just need someone to take my place.
What day is that?
Wednesday.
I signed up to do Jill's van run this Wednesday, and I just don't think I can do it. So I'm wondering if I could trade with somebody.
So there's this real sense of we're all in it together just like a family. We all need to chip in and contribute. And I think that flavor goes right through with the participants too.
The staff, they're great. They you know, they don't act like staff. They fool around, they joke, and it's not like, you know, they're in charge. It's almost like they're just, you know, other people here. It's like they're participants too.
You know, there's not an assumption here that, you know, I know or staff know better. You know, there's not that assumption for anyone. You know, some people know things that other people don't know, and that's the way of the world, and so we can share.
Everybody has a little bit of pull in which way, you know, things go and what happens. I mean, not everybody can get their way every time, but I think there's a pretty fair amount of everybody putting in their ideas and getting them listened to and heard at least. So
I feel like I'm at home here. I mean, I don't feel like, oh man, you know, like if you gotta go to work, you know, oh man, I gotta go to work, I gotta get up. You know, I'm actually excited to get up in the morning and come here just because I feel welcome. You know, everybody's nice. They don't, you know, go and talk behind your back or whatever. Everybody's here to help everybody, and it's just, it's a great environment.
This place has taught me about respecting people and listening to people clearly. I realize every day more and more the kinds of experiences some of these guys have had that I can't even dream of, that they're willing to share.
And I think that to provide a place where joy can happen and love and a sense of community and family that isn't your biological family, because, you know, I don't think we always get our needs met from our biological families.
I feel more comfortable coming in here than I do going home to my parents.
I used to sit there and listen to my aunt and my uncle fight. I mean, bloody fights. It was really bad. And us kids would like huddle in the corner in our bedroom and just cry and scream. And you know, I know how that feels. I don't want, you know, a family like that ever again.
I think what's different here, why we get a whole different set of behaviors, I think there's really something magical about having these little infants and toddlers here. I think every participant who walks through the door buys into the concept that we've got this fragile group of kids just starting out in life, and we have a chance to make it wonderful for them or not.
What time did she go there? She left before I went to lunch.
I think that if a lot of us didn't have the Parent-Child Center, there'd be a lot. I just don't think we'd be as good of parents as we've become.
I mean, it's tough. You got to give 2 kids a bath, get them dinner, you know, get them both ready for bed, and one runs this way, one runs that way. You're like, oh.
I like to say that expecting these guys to parent well, given the backgrounds that most of them came from and the lack of good parenting they experienced themselves as young children, is sort of like expecting them to speak Greek without ever having had the opportunity to hear it spoken.
Well, when I first had my son, I felt I was really stressed out, and you know, I just couldn't deal with him. I mean, before he was even a year, he was hitting me, and I mean, being really violent before he was even a year. He came here and he was all, you know, hugs and kisses and, you know, stuff. And now it's like whenever I'm sad, I mean, I don't even have to cry, and he looks at me, Mommy, you sad? You need a hug?
I think what we do here is model a way of being with children and with each other that sinks in. You know, it's respect.
Everybody is so appropriate acting and positive and upbeat, and so you learn, just like your kids do, how to talk to people, how not to talk to people, how, you know, people show you, the staff show you how to treat each other, you know, how they treat each other. And so it's catchy. You start catching how to talk and act like that.
Instead of, like, if your child's just doing something wrong, don't take them away and say, no, don't do that. Just give them other options instead of, you know, don't tell them no all the time, because that's going to be their favorite word, and they're going to tell you no all the time. You know, you just give them choices.
If your kids won't go to sleep, they won't take a bath, whatever, you just get so frustrated you don't know what to do, and you come in the next day and you're like, oh, I'm so frustrated. What do I do? And everybody's got an idea. You go home, try one, and most of the time you usually get an idea and it works.
If there are challenges at home around parenting, that often will somehow weave itself into conversation, even though it's not a real, it sort of seems to flow as we're doing the work. The stuff comes out, and we talk about it. Not just me as a supervisor, but other participants often have something to add too, or something they've learned in the parenting class or somewhere else that they can offer, and it becomes a part of a discussion while we're doing the work.
We do a lot of prevention work in the schools, and even that came out of parents coming to us and saying, listen, we love our kids now, and we wouldn't give them back for anything, but if we had it to do all over again, we wouldn't have become parents this young. And we'd like to have the opportunity to tell other kids what it's really like to be a parent young.
I think that's one of the biggest challenges with teenagers is they can really romanticize having a baby. That having a baby, they're cute and cuddly, and they, you get to hold them and people really like them.
And we realized really quickly that we didn't want to set up a situation where, people could only come here if they were pregnant. Because they had been hearing from their friends, this was a good program and all that, so we didn't want to set that up as a precedent. So we work in prevention.
Prevention is a lot cheaper than maintaining and sustaining families that are trying to keep their feet on the ground.
I didn't have kids. I didn't have to be in the parenting part of it, and so I could replace that part of my schedule with something else, and that they encourage everybody. It's just, there's so much feeling here, I guess, just that, I would have left if I didn't feel comfortable here. I wouldn't have stayed and finished my diploma, but I felt like I could come and not feel stupid and not feel like, feel down about myself, because if I did, people noticed and would say, do you want to go talk? It was just a really comfortable place to be.
And that's because we say, what worked, what didn't work, what do you want back, what don't you want back, what would work better to do this again, to try it again, and that participants make those decisions. And so that, I think, is the crux of, being able to do some decision making in a safe place where you can say, oh, this sucks, well, that's okay. Somebody else might like it, that's okay. Really being open to different ways of doing things.
Last year, the staff served you guys. Do you remember, those of you who were here?
Oh, and
Do you want that again? Yes, we
really you guys can work. Yes.
Did you want that? Yeah?
Good going.
You'll have here.
Good balsamic vinegar.
Hi.
The French.
I think everything about the way the program was set up is geared towards helping people feel better about themselves and feel good about learning. I think the name Learning Together is about we're all here together learning.
I've heard parents say, I've learned a new language at the Parent-Child Center, and that always gets me because I think, that's so big. How we talk to each other makes such a difference in the world.
I don't think that I could take care of 2 kids without, a lot of the stuff that I've got from the center.
Not very often did I sit down, when I lived with my mom, not very often did we all sit down and eat a dinner together.
I was made to feel like I would never amount to anything, and I would never be able to do anything in my life that was worth doing. And I come here and they made me feel like I was a person that was worthwhile, and that I could do this and I could do it on my own.
You can't last at the parent-child, you can't last in social services unless you have that positive attitude. And if you're lasting in social services and you don't have that positive attitude, that's a dreadful thing.
I like being. You guys ought to put a big old show on for us. A show. Oh, karaoke. Don't stop karaoke. Excluded from staff.
Oh, I'm scared now. Okay.
Finally, have a sense of humor. If you can't get off on the fun and the chaos, you're sort of missing the point.
Games, changes, and fears. Where will they go?
but we're not. I'm good enough, but I'm dreaming of you. And I keep my cool, but I'm fading. I gotta say goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away and I stumble. Though I try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not near. Goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away and I stumble. Though I try to hide it, it's clear.
This is actually a really good place. Seems kind of weird from the outside, but once you're in here, it's all right.